The inclement weather certainly taking its toll on this week's schedule for the first regular session of the 58th legislature. The Senate didn't convene until Thursday, and there were limited meetings in the House to start the week. Despite that, lawmakers now know how much money they can spend. Here's Jason Doyle and eCapitol News Director Shawn Ashley.
Shawn, the legislature now knows how much it can spend for the next state budget. How much are we talking about?
It's a really big number, $9.6 billion. Now that's $1.2 billion or 13.9% more than what was estimated for total appropriations in the December meeting. According to the Oklahoma Tax Commission and the Office of Management and Enterprise Services, improved economic conditions will make more money available next year, and there'll also be some additional carryover from the current fiscal year that pushes up that number.
The winter weather has delayed some action at the Capitol. Are leaders confident bills can make it out of committee by the deadline?
It appears that they are. The Senate took off 3 days in order to deal with the winter weather, and the House more or less took off a day and a half. Now, the deadline for bills to be heard in a committee of their chamber of origin is coming up on February 25th. So the Senate doubled up on its committee meetings on Thursday and then also met on Friday.
An open transfer bill has made it out of the House Common Education Committee. What could it mean for public school students?
Yes, Representative Brian Bowles, a Republican from Marlow, has this bill, and he said it would give parents more choice, it would increase transparency in the transfer process, and it would also increase competition between school districts. The bill eliminates many of the statewide limitations that exist on transfers between districts and really allows local districts to develop their own policies that they will then publish, and those policies will be audited to see if they're being followed. One of the concerns raised in the committee, of course, is funding and how that's going to work. Representative Bowles said another piece of legislation will address that issue.
A couple of bills dealing with visitors at long-term care facilities are heading to the House floor. What do they do?
Yes, one of those pieces of legislation would allow a resident of a facility to designate a compassionate care representative, and the other would allow someone to designate a family member who would be provided immediate access to the resident, essentially whenever they wanted, with certain limitations. The concern, of course, becomes situations like we've been dealing with, where you have a pandemic and state and local limitations come into play as to who can and cannot enter those facilities. Those were concerns addressed in the committee and that the authors of those bills likely will have to deal with as they move to the floor.
Shawn, as always, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.